ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ओम नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय। सप्तमोऽध्यायः, 7th chapter. This is beautiful. Every chapter is wonderful. अस्मिन् अध्याये पृष्टुः कार्ष्णेः प्रत्युत्तरदानेन आत्मविचार अधिकारी तदंगानि निरूप्यन्ते. Now see, in this chapter, अस्मिन् अध्याये, who is a questioner? Karshni. His name is Karshni. He asked some questions to Bhagavan. Atma vichara adhikari tadangani nirupyante. Meaning, who is a fit recipient for self-inquiry. आत्म बहुत अच्छा अध्याय है. आत्म विचार, सेल्फ इंक्वायरी. हु इज अ फिट recipient, fit person to do self inquiry? This is a question. So now the first sloka, Bharadvajasya vaikarshnehe आचार्य रमणस्य च अध्याये कथ्यते श्रेष्ठः संवादः सप्तमे. न भारद्वाज गोत्रस्य कार्ष्णेः कृष्ण नामनः पुत्रस्य. There is some devotee whose father's name is Krishna. His son is Krishnasya putraha Karshni. So Karshne, who Bharadvaja gotra, whose gotra is Bharadvaja gotra, he asked Acharya Ramanasya, भगवान रमण महर्षि के साथ इनका जो श्रेष्ठ संवाद यह सप्तमे अध्याये कथ्यते स्पष्टम. इट इज वेरी क्लियर नाउ दैट देयर इज डिवोटी कॉल्ड कार्ष्णी, सन ऑफ कृष्ण ऑफ भारद्वाज गोत्र, राइट? ही आस्क्ड in this chapter questions related to the fit person for self-inquiry regarding the adhikari, who is a qualified person for self-inquiry. That's a question. In this chapter, he asked questions related to adhikaritvam. Now he says, Karshniruvacha ropamatma vicharasya kinnu kim va prayojanam labhyad atma vicharena फलं भूयोऽन्यतोऽस्ति वा रूपमात्मविचारस्य किन्नु किं वा प्रयोजनं लभ्यादात्मविचारेण फलं भूयोऽन्यतोऽस्ति वा. Now see, he asked some majorly 3 questions he asked in this sloka. And Ramana Maharshi gives answers to all the questions. First one is Atma Vicharasya Atmanaha Ahambhava Ashrayasya Swarupam Adhikritya Kriyamanasya Vicharasya Margana Parikshanatmakasya Vimarshasya Rupam Swarupam Kinnu iti Prashnaha. First one is what? He says Atma Vicharasya Atmanaha Ahambhava Ashrayasya. Now Atma Vichar, which is Atma Visa? Visa earlier, all the thoughts are born out of Aham Vritti. When I thought is there, it is a source, origin, right, foundation for all kinds of thoughts. Right? So Aham Vritti. Aham is idea, notion. Ego, Aham Vritti. From that Vritti, all thoughts come. So सब thoughts का, all thoughts का आश्रय क्या है? अहम वृत्ति. अहम वृत्ति का आश्रय क्या है? आत्मा. So Atman, the self, is the foundation or the source of I thought. And I thought is the foundation for all other thoughts. Vedanta, we say it is called Aham Vritti, all others are Idam Vrittayaha. Idam Vritti. Aham Vritti, Idam Vritti. If Aham is not there, Aham Vritti is not there, Idam Vritti cannot be there. Only I thought should be there, first basis. From that only all other thoughts emerge. But what is the foundation, origin, source of this Aham Vritti? Atma. That Atma enquiry we are doing. So, that Atma enquiry, Rupam Adhikritya, how it is done? Adhikritya, Atmanaha Ahambhavashrayasya Swarupam Adhikritya Kriyamanasya. So keeping that in view, Atman self-enquiry. So keeping that self in view, Vicharasya, Atma Vichara, deliberation is started. Deliberation means Margana Parikshanatmakasya. Margana, searching the path to reach the self. By enquiry, the path of enquiry. Path of self-enquiry. What is the self here? The source of, foundation of Aham Vritti. So, Margana Parikshanatmakasya Vimarshasya, of the examination. So, exam. Who am I? Who is this Ahankara? Came from what? What is the source of this Aham Vritti? The real self. That Swarupam Kinnu iti Prashna. So, that what is the, first question is, nature of this self which is enquired. That nature of the self enquiry. First one. What is the form of self enquiry? Swarupam Kinnu iti Prashna. First Prashna. So, Atma Vicharasya Rupam Kinnu. First Prashna. Kim va prayojanam? Second is what? Kim va prayojanam Atma Vicharena labhyat prapyat phalat bhuyaha api. Second question is, what is this prayojanam? Atmajnanam prayojanam. What is the self prayojanam? Usefulness of self-inquiry. Second question. Third one is Atmavicharena labhyat prapyat palat bhuyapi palam mahattaram prayojanam anyataha astiva. Does anything exist which can give me a greater result than this Atma Vichara? Whatever you attain through Atma Vichara, Atma Vicharena labhyat, whatever you gain through Atma Vichara, greater than that phalam. बंद करो.
I'm sorry, I got here.
No problem. बंद किया. Now, so second question is what? Kim va prayojanam. First one is what is the nature of or the form of self. Three questions he asked. Self-inquiry, form of self-inquiry, what is its prayojanam, and atma vicharina labhyat prapyat palat. Whatever you get fruit out of self-inquiry, इससे भी बेहतरीन, इससे भी ज़्यादा, हुआ भी फलम महत्तरम प्रयोजनम अन्यतः अस्ति वा? Is there any other thing which is greater than that? This give me a greater result than the self-inquiry? Does anything exist? सेल्फ-इंक्वायरी के द्वारा आपको जो मिलेगा उससे भी बेहतरीन, उससे भी ज़्यादा, उससे भी महत्तरम फलम अस्ति वा? Questions. Now, आत्मविचाराद अन्यस्मात् कस्माद् विलभ्यम विद्यते वा इत्यर्थः. Meaning, आत्मविचाराद अन्यस्मात् कस्माद् विलभ्यम विद्यते वा. Is there anything exists that can be gained better result than even the Atma Vichara? Kim Swarupaha, Kim Prayojano va Atma Vicharaha. What is the Prayojanam of Atma Vicharam? Atma Vicharad yat phalitam tatha api adhikam kimapi asti. Is there any Atma Vichara phalitam that beyond that is there anything exists? Nava iti traya prashna. Is there anything greater than that self-inquiry? Through some other method, can we transcend the fruit that we normally gain through self-inquiry? Is there anything other fruit which can be attained through some other method? Yesham kramena prativachanam aha. So three questions are asked. What is the first question? What is the form of self-inquiry? What is its prayojanam? And is there anything greater result which can be achieved than the phalam of self-inquiry, fruit of self-inquiry, through any other method? These questions. So Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi answered kramena, meaning one by one. So what is the first question answer? Atma Swarupam, Atma Vicharyasya Rupam Kimnu. What is the form of self-inquiry? First question. Now, Bhagavan Uvacha Sarvasam api vrittinam Samashtirya samirita Aham vrittera mushyasto Janmastanam vimrushyatam Sarvasam api vrittinam Samishtirya samirita Aham vrittera mushyasto Janmastanam vimrushyatam. Now, see, ya sarvasam vrittinam manovrittinam samashtihi samhatihi samirita khatita amushyaha tasyaha aham vrittehe janmasthanam vimrushyatam vicharyatam. Now first question. First thing is, what is mind? mind is full of thoughts. Okay? If you go into mind management, it becomes a big subject. Mind, a thought divides. Thought creates division. Okay? So many thoughts erupt continuously. In the research, it was said every person on an average does self-talk, अपने आप से बात करते हैं. Researchers said 50,000 times people talk to themselves in a day. Like a boiling water only. Non-stop, uncontrollable eruption of thoughts. And it becomes beyond 50,000, 70, 80,000. They can't sleep. They are extremely diseased psychologically. It's a disease. It's a mental state. Uncontrollable thoughts, thought eruptions. So many thoughts group of bulk like a grapes, because every thought is a seed for about multiple thoughts. Like one seed tree, each tree has many fruits, and fruit has many seeds, and each seed can give to other tree seeds. It's like a nuclear fission. Nuclear fission means, not fusion, fission. One becomes two, boom, 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 divides. Energy is just broken and it just goes into all directions. But all the thoughts are erupting out of what? Sarvasam vrittinam manovrittinam. Sarvasam manovrittinam. Samashtihi. Aggregate of all the thoughts. Samirita. Samyaki samirita. Samhita. Katita. What? Amushyaha. Tasyaha. Ahamvrittehe. Now, ahamvritti is the source from which all kinds of thoughts emerge out. That is why in every thought there is ego, there is I. Think. Now, here Bhagavan says, Aham vrittehe janmasthanam vicharyatam, vimrushyatam vicharyatam. So one has to inquire, where is the problem? If you attend to every thought, normally what we do? Bad thought, bring a good thought, try to fight with it, change the thought. So you are encountering a thought with another thought. That is our own procedure. We are not capable of dissolving all the thoughts. Like if I can cut the root, the whole tree goes away. So now, all the thoughts are born out of aham vritti. Now the question is, where does this aham vritti come from? The janmasthanam to be inquired. So focus is shifted from multiple thoughts to I thought, and I thought to the source of the I thought. That is to be inquired. Now, aham vrittihi samastanam vrittinam moolamujjate iti hrudaya vidyadhyaye ya patita aham vrittihi sa kasmad udetai iti kriyamanaha sukshmaha vimarshaha eva vicharaha iti atma vichara swarupam uktam. Now, what is the form of the nature of self-inquiry? A form or nature of self-inquiry? In Hridaya Adhyaya, 5th chapter, it was said where Ahamvritti Samasthana Vrittinam Moolam Uchyate. Ahamvritti is the source, origin of all other thoughts. Iti ahamvritti, iti hridaya vidyadhyaya ya patita ahamvrittihi, sa vrittihi, kasmad udeta iti, udeti iti, kriyamanaha sukshma vimarsha. So that subtle inquiry is done. Where does this come from? This subtle, this ahamvritti, I thought emerges. This inquiry is called Atma Vichara Swarupam Uktam. So, what is the nature of the form of self inquiry? Find out the origin of I thought. So, I said again, what we do, we fight with thoughts, negative thoughts, positive thoughts, this thought, that thought, change the thought, that thought, this thought. So, we are actually waging a war with the thoughts. And so many thoughts emerge, good and bad and nothing. Now my focus shifted to Ahamvritti. See, because Ahamvritti is there, all other thoughts emerge. That's why in the early morning when we get up, first thought comes out, first thought is I. And that the moment we get up from the bed, within a microsecond, I thought is born. As soon as I thought is born, I is memory. Ahamvritti contains memory of lives together. It carries. Like today, I is there, me, individual. Tomorrow morning, today's experiences also are included in it, in that I. Tomorrow's I will carry today's. Today's I carries the yesterday's I's memories. So Gurudev says, I is nothing but a bundle of memories encoded in one I. The thought. So we have to dismantle them. If that is not there, all problems are. It is very simple. Ahamvritti. So this is the inquiry. What is the source or origin of this Ahamvritti? Because Ahamvritti is the problem. See, what is the fundamental cause for all the problems in an individual's life? Is a ego. Diagnosis. What is the diagnosis? Ego. That's it. Whatever झगड़ा आप करते घर में, रोज दुनिया में, अपने आप से, what is the root cause? Ego. Think about it. Ego is the root cause. If we can understand this, the root cause of all the problems of individual's life is one's own ego. और कोई है नहीं. That इसका जट फण hood, every time it raises. Sorry, it is always raised. कभी कभी मैं गलत बोल देता हूँ. It is not raises its hood. It is always in raising condition only. Hood. Hissing occasionally, that depends upon the nature of the person. Some people keep on hissing, criticizing, self-criticism, commenting, getting irritated, anger, hatred, jealousy, jidd, duragrah, insistence. That root of this problem is first diagnosis, understand. All diseases are born out of ego. Psychological, physical, every disease. हाँ, शरीर का बीमारी, हाउ कैन इट इज ईगो इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल? Why did you get body first of all? Ego. Ego demanded, you got a body. I demanded a body. My ego, so a body was given. So all the problems are related to body also born out of ego only. बात समझ में आ गया आपको? यू शुड नॉट से दिस. हाँ, हाउ कैन बॉडी प्रॉब्लम्स, जेनेटिकल प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है, वातावरण प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है, एनवायरमेंटल प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है. हाउ कैन यू से द बॉडी ऑल्सो द प्रॉब्लम? भाई बॉडी जन्म लिया ईगो के कारण ही है. ईगो डिमांडेड, यू गॉट द जन्म, बर्थ. Tad drodayati. Now, he is now making it firm. This thought. What is that now? Yesha atma vicharasyat na shastra parishilanam ahankaro vilinasyat मूलस्थानगवेषणे. येष आत्मविचारस्यात् न शास्त्रपरिशीलनम् अहंकारो विलीनस्यात् मूलस्थानगवेषणे. एक बात बता देता हूँ आपको. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi very clearly mentioning here. What he says, Yeshaha Atma Vicharasya. What is that? Aham Vritti Udbhavasthana Vimarshaha Atma Vicharaha. This is the Atma Vichara. What is? The finding out, enquiring about the origin of the I thought is Atma Vichara. Na Shastra Parishilanam. Shastra Parishilam, not Shastra Vicharaha, na Atma Vicharaha bhavitum arhati. Shastra Vichara is not Atma Vichara. Underline. आपको गुस्सा तो आता है, बट एक महात्मा जी कब तक पढ़ते रहोगे रामायण? बोले कब तक पढ़ते रहोगे भागवतम? ये मन को बहलना हो रहा है ना, lalana. Entertaining the mind is Purana Sravanam for most of us. Sorry to say that, but this is a fact. Majority of us listen to Puranas only to entertain the mind. गुस्सा तो आता होगा, आने तो मुझे क्या करूं, अभी एक प्रमाण है ना, शास्त्र प्रमाण. अरे कथा सुनाओ, कथा सुनाओ. What are you talking nonsense? Shastra Parishilanam also. Oh my God. In Bhagavan Veda Vyasji wrote Brahma Sutras. Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya wrote Brahma Sutra Bhashya. From that Brahma Sutra Bhashya, two classes have emerged. Vivarana and Bhamati. Vivarana Karakas and Bhamati Karakas. And their analysis, huge analysis, it's a huge analysis. So one of our mission member only, when in Hyderabad, they met someone. So he asked me, Vivarana and Bhamati analysis and all. I said only one thing. You decide whether you want to be a scholar or self-enquiry to attain liberation. For some extent, Shastra Vicharanam, but Shastra Parishilanam is not Atma Vicharaha. Because we study Upanishads, we study so many things, you listen Ramayana, Bhagavat, ye khatha, wo khatha, ye sunte rehte hain. Are we converting that knowledge into self-inquiry? Are they helping us in finding out the origin of this ego? We don't even go there. We are only at superficial level, entertain thoughts, entertain the mind, create some listen to pleasant thoughts, and think that you are a great spiritual seeker. Superficial. ठीक है. See, न शास्त्र परिशीलनम. So lokavasana, shastra vasana. What do you want? Okay. Therefore, vichara phala vivakshaya, wanting to tell the use of the phalam, use of self-inquiry, vichara siddhi prakaram ahaha uttarardhena. In the second part of the sloka, intending to tell the use of self-inquiry. What is self-inquiry purpose then? Shastra Parishilanam is not Atma Vichara. I found out in my life, people always, whatever level we are in, always try to drag us into useless third-rate discussions. Not necessarily related to spiritual matters. घर का मामला भी ऐसा होता है. बताओ तुम्हारा राय क्या है, वो उसने ऐसा कर दिया, तुम क्या सोचते हो? Jiddu Krishnamurti was asked, please, what do you think about Buddha? He answered, first of all, I don't think about Buddha. Clear-cut answer. What do you think about Buddha? I don't think about Buddha, he said. It's a thought. So, people drag us into all kinds of controversies, discussions, whether pertaining to material life or spiritual life. This I discovered. So, my answer would be, I never read it, I don't know. Happy, relaxed. दिमाग खाने वाले चले जाते हैं दूर. What do you think about that? What do you think about this? What's your opinion on this? And we give opinion. And without asking also we give opinions. Very interesting thing. मुझसे पूछोगे ना, मैं तो यही बताऊंगा. तो किसने पूछा पहले बताओ. If you ask me, I will. If you didn't ask me, I didn't ask you. No, shut up and keep quiet. This is the thing. So in the second part, intending to vichara phala vivakshaya, vichara siddhi prakaram aha uttarardhena. Vichara siddhi prakaram. How that the phalam, the vichara siddhi, how does it take place? In the second part of the sloka, it was said. What is that? What happens in vichara? Because first of all, understand, the root problem for all the problems of life is what? Ego. Physical, psychological, mental, diagnose. What is the problem? Ego. ये बात नहीं मान रहा है, मानना तो पड़ेगा. ईगो. Having diagnosed this, should we not dissolve that problem? So, keeping the problem intact, I am only dressing the wound. Certain infections are there caused by bacteria, staphylococcus. What they do, they create like a chain bacteria it is called. They create a pus, staphylococcus aureus. If you don't treat with the antibiotic, the wounds will come. So one wound with your nail or thumb, that small eruption of it, फरंकल बोलते फरंकल, उसको दबा दिया, कार्बंकल फरंकल, एनीवे उसको दबा दिया, थोड़ा पस्ता निकाल दिया. What will happen next day? In some other place it will erupt. उसको भी दबा दिया. Then you find fourth day, 4 places you find. How many times you do? This is what we do in life. We don't find out the cause, Moola Karanam. Therefore, Moolasthana Gaveshane, when we inquire, search, the problem is ego. So, ego is a culprit. So, ego to be dissolved, then I know who I am. So, what is the Moolasthanam, source of this ego? Gaveshane, Aham Vrittege Moolasthanasya Margane Kriyamane Ahankaro Vilinasyat. When we start inquiring what is the source of this I, what will happen? The ego will dissolve. Ego cannot be sustained. Because I want to know. The spring of consciousness in me. That spring of that I presence is there. Where there is no thought. So I sit there. Any thought comes out of ego. Then ask, this thought, to whom it did occur? To me. Who am I? Who is this false I? What is the origin of it? Where does this born? Where does the source of it? What is the source of it? Where does it come from? I thought. When we are disturbed, when we are offended, inquire, who is offended? Who is reacting? Who is getting irritated? Ego. So, Vilinasyat, Ahankarasya Swa Udayasthane Vilayo Bhavati. Then what happens to the ego? It will merge in its own source, from where it emerged. Because we are no more supporting the ego. What is happening now? Ego claims, ego demands, ego insists, ego protests, ego desires, ego wishes, ego complains, ego compares, ego tries to convince us, ego decides, ego surges ahead. All vyapara is done by ego only. And what am I doing? Dictated by the ego, without inquiry, I am only just following the ego's thoughts, ego's suggestions, ego's demands, ego's analysis. And according which suits to my ego, I am trying to whole life, I am adjusting my psychological personality and the physical world around me based on the ego's demands. I am yielding to it 24 by 7 non-stop, except perhaps not perhaps, deep sleep where ego is resting, only to come back with greater force next day morning. Think. So, what are we doing? Our life, in one sentence, what is our life? Yielding to the demands of the ego, movement to movement. Right from the child, you start this. Ego demands, I yield. And we are in a state of we are not in a state of awareness. We are in a state of self-forgetfulness. एक जोक भी है, एक दारू पिया आदमी हैदराबाद का जोक है, दारू पिया बहुत, पी के रात को 12 बजे बाहर आया, ऑटो वाला खड़ा है, वो दारू का दुकान नामपल्ली स्टेशन के पास है, हैदराबाद स्टेशन, बाहर आया, बोला नामपल्ली स्टेशन जाना है, ऑटो वाला बोला भाई साहब यही है नामपल्ली स्टेशन, वहीं है आप, कहाँ जाना है आपको, घर कहाँ है, अरे नामपल्ली स्टेशन जाना है। भाई साहब ये गर्दन गला पकड़ा हो दारू पिया आदमी, तो लेके नहीं जाते हो, और एक ही ऑटो मिला है, लेके जाओ नामपल्ली स्टेशन, नहीं तो मार दूंगा। डर गया, अभी पहले दारू पिया, पता नहीं क्या करेगा ये, बैठो सर, इंजन ऑन किया, डर 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 2 मिनट किया, सब आ गया, बोला नामपल्ली स्टेशन, उतर गया, पैसा देके चला गया। इसी तरह हमारा ईगो हमको घुमाता है, कहीं ले नहीं जाता, वहीं पे होल लाइफ वी आर देयर ओनली। अरे रामा, सो देयरफॉर अहंकारस्य सौदय स्थाने विलयो भवति, विलीने तो अहंकारे, व्हेन ईगो इज डिसॉल्व्ड क्या होता है, न किमपि कर्तुं ज्ञातुं वा अवशिष्यत इति स्यात् शंका पामर पुरुषस्य। नाउ क्वेश्चन कम्स, पामर पुरुषस्य, ignorant man gets a doubt, भैया all transactions in life can happen only because of ego. I am there, then only I can eat, think, talk, move, fight. Everything I can do because of my ego. Ego is my individuality. If that is gone, how can he move and work, think and talk and do all kinds of work in the world outside? See, पामर पुरुषस्य शंका स्यात् किमपि कर्तुं ज्ञातुं वा अवशिष्यते, because when the ego is resolved, there remains nothing to do, nothing to know. Then how can he live life? इति पामर पुरुषस्य शंका, this is a doubt of an ignorant man. Because when ego is not there, how can I talk, how can I move, how can I work, how can I gain knowledge, how लोक व्यवहारार्थम, जानो जो है ना, ये रोटी है, ये सब्जी है, वो भी ज्ञान चला जाएगा। फिर अहंकार नहीं है, तो अहंकार के बिना आदमी का अस्तित्व, जीवन का व्यवहार कैसा जा सकता है? ये अज्ञानी पुरुष का एक शंका होता है। तो इसलिए कह रहे हैं विषयान विज्ञातुम कर्माणि कर्तुम वा साहंकार एव प्रभवति। देखिए, विषयान विज्ञातुम, भाई he gains the knowledge of the sense objects. So gaining the knowledge of the sense objects and working in the world outside, sahankara eva prabhavati, it is possible only along with ego. Ego alone can vyapara here, vyapari. If ego is not there, like for example, in deep sleep state, there is no ego, no vyapar, no खाना पीना लड़ना बहस करना है ही नहीं है। जानना जाना, ज्ञान प्राप्त करना, कर्म करना, देश की सेवा करे, नथिंग, ईगो इज नॉट देयर, तो व्यवहार खत्म हो जाएगा नहीं। देन व्हेन यू इंक्वायर अबाउट आत्मज्ञानम, व्हेन द ईगो इज डिसॉल्व्ड, देयर रिमेन्स नथिंग टू डू एंड नथिंग टू नो, देन हाउ डज सच ए पर्सन लिव इन दिस वर्ल्ड? Because there remains nothing. Aham karomi, aham janami iti kartum jnatum va ko asti. Iha ahankara vinashtau iti. But who remains there to say aham karomi, I will do, I shall do, aham janami, I know, iti kartum jnatum va ko asti. Iha, who remains here? When ahankara vinashtau iti. When ahankara is dissolved, who remains there? How can vyavahara continue? So, agnya drushti sambhavayam vichikitsayam aha. This is the doubt from the standpoint of an ignorant person. He thinks, he asks this question, he thinks he is very intelligent. Because when ego is not there, how can you live? How can you think? How can you talk? How can you know and how can you do? In simple thing. ज्ञानेन्द्रियास and कर्मेंद्रियास. ज्ञान की प्राप्ति और कर्म करना इंद्रियों के द्वारा, हाथ पैरों के द्वारा संभव ही नहीं हुए। तो इस परिस्थिति में अहंकार जब विलय हो जाता है तो आदमी का जीवन जीना ही मुश्किल है। जी नहीं सकता क्योंकि व्यवहार करने वाला अहंकार ही है। तो ऐसी शंका किसकी दृष्टि से? मूर्ख की दृष्टि से, पामर की दृष्टि से। मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूं आपकी दृष्टि से, पामर की दृष्टि से, मूर्ख की दृष्टि से ये ऐसा होता है, शंका होती है। ठीक है, तो इस शंका की निवृत्ति के लिए भगवान आगे कहते हैं, रमण महर्षि तो कह रहे, आत्मा भासस्त्वहंकारः स यदा संप्रलीयते आत्मा सत्योभिमतः पूर्णः आत्मा सत्योभितः पूर्णः केवलः परिशिष्यते आत्मा भासस्त्वहंकारः स यदा संप्रलीयते आत्मा सत्योभितः पूर्णः केवलः परिशिष्यते। Now, आत्म आभासस्तु आत्म आभास एव अहंकारः. Now, first let us see, what is this ahankara? Ahankara is atma abhasa, reflection, shadow, not original, duplicate. ठीक है, प्रतिबिंब वेदांत में चिद आभासा. So abhasa is ahankara. Okay, it feels it is an individual. एक आपको एक सच बता देता हूं, डरना नहीं। Whatever you think consistently, whatever thought you entertain consistently and pump into it all your energies, either good or bad, out of fear or insecurity or hallucination, whatever thoughts you pump into, that becomes an entity. and it gains its own as though it is an independent entity. You can see it, and that entity, which is sustained by your energy, starts haunting you. There is no entity other than your own mind there. But it takes an individual shape, size, energy, and behaves as though it is an individual. Many psychological problems are because of that self created entity out of, I can use one word, dark energy. Dark because of your thoughts are like that, or ones whose thoughts are like that. And that energetic field which you created out of negative thinking, that become entity. It is only energy field, but it become entity for you. It converses, it talks, it gains as though it's a shadow of your thoughts, collective thoughts which you have been entertaining. And that is used as a medium for negative forces in the nature to pump all their negativity into you with more and more intensity. कई बार बोलते हैं भूत हांट कर रहा है, कोई हांट कर रहा है. So that is used by dark rakshasas in the nature. You created a window, you created an outlet. Through that outlet, you attract all those energies and create. So it is what? Made up of your own thought. It is not an independent entity. So it is your abhasa, your ego's abhasa, sab-abhasa. Created by whom? Your ego. Your ego is original reflection. I'm just not original. Original plus the first reflection. And that is again reflected and created some other entity. And that third entity, the other second entity which is created other than ego, it haunts the individual. Therefore, the more you think negatively, that energy starts biting you. It will continue after one's death also. You have seen recently some Delhi में happened, पूरा परिवार का मार दिया है. With a group of family. Somebody said, I'm getting messages. We will go to heaven or we'll come back to life again. And he convinced everybody, and everybody did. 14 people or something. He is that type only. He started living in his own psychological world. He created an entity. That entity started talking to him again. Pictures में दिखाते हैं, देखो दर्पण में हीरो का प्रतिबिंब उससे बात करता है, तो क्या कर रहे हो, ऐसा कुछ चैलेंज करता है ना. दैट्स ट्रू, इट इज. फिर गुस्से में एक कांच या कुछ लेके दर्पण को फोड़ देता है, फिर देन वो चला जाता है. दैट एंटिटी इज क्रिएटेड बाय हिम ओनली, बट इट टेक्स अ शेप आउटसाइड एंड चैलेंजेस यू. It is difficult to that energy to dissolve. They become psychologically diseased. किसी को बात मानता नहीं. They get convinced that it is real for them. Oh my God! It is a sub-illusions which are created by one's own, by a person. मुझे भगवान बुला रहा है करके मर जाता है. ऐसे लोगों को भगवान क्यों बुलाता है? अपना सिर दर्द बढ़ाता है क्या कोई बुला के? Psychic personality is very dangerous. So that is your abhasa, You create. But what is for ego? Ego itself is reflection of the higher self. So it's a false entity. Just as you understood when you created an entity out of energy, how it is false and how it is creating problem to you. Similarly, this ego is nothing but abhasaha. Therefore, Atma abhasastu Atma abhasa eva ahankarha. Yada sampraliyate lino bhavati tada satya atma apitaha paritaha purnaha kevala eko nirvisheshasan parishishyate. Tada, when this ego is resolved, then who remains? Purna atma remains. Tada, then satya atma. This is ajut atma, the ego. सत्य का अपोजिट झूठ है ना. इट्स आभास. आभास मीन्स नॉट रियल. दैट इज रियल सेल्फ. दिस इज अनरियल सेल्फ. दैट इज रियल सेल्फ. दिस इज अनरियल सेल्फ. So unreal self is inquired, what is this unreal? To dissolve all that unreal result resolved into its source. Then what remains is real Atma, Satya Atma. Then Abhitaha. Paritaha, it all. Bhagavan Gita Bhagavan says, no. Samplita, sarvata sampluto dake. Charam aur pani hai. Like that, Brahma, the Brahmanabhuti. Everywhere he sees Brahman alone. He need not go anywhere. He is not conditioned by anything. Please remember, at one stage of your evolution, all of us understand that thought cannot be dissolved by creating another thought. Change cannot happen by creating another thought. It can change, but that change, whatever you feel that you brought change, it is also temporary. Because this thought is removed, one thought is removed, you replace with other thought. Then this thought also will go die away, and because some other thought will come and replace this thought. पहला बहुत दारू पीता था, बाद में तो छोड़ तो दिया था, अब कुछ साल फिर शुरू किया. So that change was not real change. The real change is discovering the changeless entity in us. Think. So therefore here he says very clearly, what remains is nirvishesha atma parishishyate. No adjectives, no specialities, a pure Brahman, all pervading essence. Rasam. Rasaggam hevayam labdva anandi bhavati. Essence. In preparations also we add essence, 1 drop, 2 drops. Sometimes rang ke liye, sometimes. That essence is all pervading. Tasya, so it alone remains. Tasya swataha siddhatvat na asti agama apayova. Because that is swatah siddhatvat. It is natural presence, the self. What remains is presence, natural self. After ego is dissolved. And that alone remains all pervading, all sides, everywhere. It is alone. For that, because it is swatah siddhatvat, it is what remains balance, it is very clearly evident, self-evident. Swatah siddhatvat, self-evident, all pervading reality. Because it is all pervading, self-evident reality, there is no question of going and coming for that entity, for that state. It is always there. That is why it is said praptasya prapti. It is always there. It is not just discovery is required. The discovery itself is taking millions and millions and millions and trillions of lives. We already lived in the eternity. जस्ट पर्दा हटाना है. उस पर्दे को हटाने के लिए ही इतना समय लग रहा है, क्योंकि हम पर्दे को पर्दे को रखते हुए उसकी सजावटी में लगे हैं हम. पर्दे की सजावटी. पर्दे हटाओ, नहीं, पर्दे को ऊपर ये डाल दे, फूल डाले, सजाए, ये करे, वो करे, सोना चांदी लगाए, उसका अलंकार करने में लग गए. किसका? पर्दे का, भाई पर्दे का. We are only decorating the curtain, we are not removing the curtain. What is parda here? Ego. So we are only satisfying, decorating, honoring, yielding to the demands of the ego and protecting the ego. And ego always protects itself. Ego comes up with many, many subtle ideas, subtle notions, subtle thoughts, so that it keeps itself alive. It doesn't want to die. So we are not directly confronting with the ego here. Please understand. In Ramana Maharshi's path, we don't directly confront the ego. If you directly confront the ego shows its colors, true colors of dominance. Its power increases and we cannot face that. Ego is Maya. You cannot face ego. You are getting my point? We cannot confront ego. So ego, so ठीक, but what is the source of it? We are inquiring. Ego thinks, वो मेरे पास तो नहीं आ रहे, हमारे चारों ओर घूम रहे हैं, मेरे चारों ओर. But you don't know, the ego doesn't know. So you are just inquiring, what is the source, origin of it? I am not disturbing the ego's games now. But my focus is not on ego. I am not stopping it. I am not yielding to it. I am not stopping the ego from its activities, nor am I yielding to the ego's demands. But my focus is on what is the source of it. You confront the ego will confront you. माफी चाहता हूं, but that's the truth. All our spiritual sadhanas are confronting the ego. Nobody wants willingly to do meditation, japa, puja. Nobody wants. Ego says no. No, I will confront you and make you do japa. It's a confrontation. Are you getting my point? जबरदस्ती सत्संग में बैठ जाते हैं. Confronting ego says, movie देखो. No. So I am confronting it. I am not ignoring it. Without confronting the ego, find out the source of the ego. मूवीज में भी दिखाते हैं ना, उसको डिस्टर्ब नहीं करना, इसके पीछे कौन है उसको ढूंढो पहले. हु इज बिहाइंड दिस गाय, दिस विलन, इसका पैसा कहाँ से आता है, उसको पहले काट दो. सोर्स ऑफ मनी, यही तो करते हैं ना ईडी डिपार्टमेंट्स इन द कंट्री, एंटी व्हाट यू कॉल दोस डिपार्टमेंट्स. दे थिंक सप्लाई चेन काटना है आदमी का. We will not confront him because supply chain is constantly there. No, you can't confront. So what do? Supply chain काट देते हैं. Where supply is, where is he coming? Where from where he is getting weapons? From where is getting black money? From where? That's what our government had done, in cancelling FCRAs, Foreign FRC, the Foreign Contribution Regulatory Act. Through that pipeline, lot of black money is coming and used for terrorist activities and anti-Indian activities. So that supply chain has to be cut. We don't confront you directly. बट आपका हाथ पैर काट देते हैं. So we should not confront ego directly. Ego will win. This is what he says. Therefore, that once that state is realized, sahaja asthiti, that I discover there is no going and coming. It is always there. That state doesn't come and go. What are we doing? We are only decorating the parda. Therefore, every state, ego state comes and goes to create that pleasantness. जब दारू पिया है, नशा उतर गया, फिर पियो. To keep myself in that nasha mood. So what are we doing? We are only decorating the ego by yielding its demands. But no, I am here inquiring. When I inquire, what remains is pure self. For this, no Shastra Jnana is necessary. But everybody is not fit for that. Of course, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi agrees to it. This requires very subtle thought, subtle discovery, subtle tapasya is required. Not everybody is fit for it. Because when thoughts are like Niagara waterfalls, where can you find out the source of the ego, ahamvritti? Gurudev gives a beautiful example. He is master, of course. I am not telling that way the way Gurudev tells, but I am just telling you. A person had gone to railway station with a wife and 4 children. They have to catch a train. A big family, so a lot of luggage. He was standing at the platform. Now, he was in tension. Why? 10-year-old eldest son had gone to purchase ice cream somewhere. 8-year-old second son had gone to other side to meet somebody and talking to someone. Third son is playing in the toy shop nearby. Fourth is crying in the mother's lap. And mother took the child to calm him to enter a woman's magazine stall. And this man is standing there, counting the luggage also. Bid vada bahut hai. Then train is announcement as made. It is coming within 5 minutes on platform number 1. Then he started searching, collecting. First search and then collect. Whom? All the people. अब वाइफ कहाँ है? उधर है. फर्स्ट एल्डेस्ट सन है उधर है. वो सेकंड सन इधर है. And the third सन उधर है. अरे बाबा ये सब बिखर गए. At that time you go and tell Ram Ram, where are you going? No, he is not even looking at you. I am going to Hyderabad. Okay, Hyderabad. Okay. Please, when you meet Mr. Ram Rao, will you pass on this message? Okay. And Gurudev said, has any day that a message had ever reached Mr. Ram Rao? No. That is our condition. When so many thoughts are erupting, where is the self-inquiry? So many problems at home or in the society, so much of work, and greed, bahirmukha vritti, so many vrittis are there. Where is self-inquiry possible? When karma is lashing at us. So Ramana Maharshi says, yes, agreed, uske liye path diye hai. Question is, all begins with your intention. What is your intention for your life? When I drive a vehicle on the road, my intention is to avoid dashing other vehicles on the road? Is it that my intention? No. My intention is to reach destination. Avoiding dashing other vehicles is a part of the job to reach the destination. Why are you going? Just to avoid traffic, to dashing other vehicles. पर कहीं जाना है क्या आपको? No, nothing. ऐसे तो नहीं, कुछ नहीं है. फिर क्यों जा रहे हो? बस to avoid other vehicles. पागल है कि नहीं? But what is our life? Without destination, we are living एवरी डे मॉर्निंग टिल इवनिंग, दूध वाला आया ले लो, पेपर वाला आया ले लो, वो आया करो, वो आया ले लो, ये दिख गए करना है, शॉपिंग है वो दिख गया खरीद लो, वो मिल गया बात कर लो. Is there any direction for us? Absolutely not. सब लोग कर रहे हैं, मैं भी करूँगा. सब लोग फ्लैट बुक किया, मैं भी कर दूंगा. सब लोग गाड़ी लिए, मैं भी गाड़ी लूँगा. So many suggested me also, आप भी गाड़ी ले लो. Is it required? No. Glamour? I don't want. So what is it you want in life? Like a traffic. ये दिख गया, इससे बचाओ, इससे अपने आप को बचाओ, इससे अपने आप को बचाओ, इस गाड़ी से अपने आप को बचाओ, इस आदमी से अपने आप को बचाओ. भाई ये सब कर रहे हो, पर क्यों कर रहे हो? किस दिशा में जा रहे हो? पता नहीं, दिशा ही नहीं है, पर्पस ही नहीं है घूमने का. Lifelong birth to death, we are only facing traffic without any destination. Now, इसका अभी बहुत सारा व्याख्यान है इस श्लोक का. आत्मा आभासा, आत्मा सत्यमित पूर्ण केवल. नौ, अहंकार विलये यद अवशिष्यमाणं भवति तन्न शून्यम किंतु पूर्णम वस्तु यदेव आत्मा अहंकारस्यापि मूल आश्रयत्वेन तिष्ठति. अथ च लोकव्यवहारे अपि आत्माश्रयत्वेन एव कर्मेन्द्रियाणां ज्ञानेन्द्रियाणां अंतःकरणस्यापि व्यापारः संभवति. निरहंकारं कर्मज्ञानं वा नैव शक्यमिति तु भ्रम एव इति ज्ञेयम्. उदिते सूर्ये तत्प्रभावात् तत्प्रभावाश्रयाणाच्च लोके सर्वाणि भूतानि स्वेषु कर्मसु प्रवर्तन्ते. एव सहजसिद्धे च आत्मस्वरूपे तदाश्रयाणादेव चित्क्रियात्मक मनः प्राणव्यापाराः प्रचलन्ति. न तु अहंकारिणः तस्य स्वतः रूप अभावात् स्वतंत्रत्वाच्च तथा च सद्दर्शने प्रतिपादितम्. श्लोक आल्सो कम्स. तस्माद् अहंकारो न वस्तुतः आत्मा किंतु आत्मा एव अवभासनः. आत्मा इव आभासमानः अहं वेषधरो यो विचारे क्रियमाणे विरूपो धावति एव इति तस्य विलयनम् उक्तम्. यद्यपि आत्माभासस्य अहंकारस्य विलये इष्यते तथापि वाच्यम् अर्थं मनोविदुः इति प्रागुक्तलक्षणो अहं पदं प्रति तस्यैव अभिधेयत्वात् तेन एव स्वलयो निर्वाह्यः. तस्मात् तन्मूलान्वेषणेन तल्लय विधाने साधिते अहं पदलक्ष्यार्थं हृदयम् आत्मस्वरूपं विदितं भवति इति विचारसिद्धिप्रकारः प्रतिपादितः. आत्मलाभः फलमिति च सूचितम्. दिस विल सी टुमारो. ठीक है. ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ओम शांति शांति शांति. हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरि ओम सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय.